intentions was to run away with the fare.
At just 13 years old, Deborah Monroe went looking for the love and attention she'd never had at the fair in her hometown of Jackson.
The second day at the fair, I met someone very charming, charismatic, actually listened to me, paid attention to me. The thing that really stood out the most is that he bought me something to eat because I was hungry.
After being in and out of foster care, she thought she finally found what she so desperately wanted: someone who truly cared about her. She opened up to the I-Team about the years that followed and the decades of searching for healing.
And we left the fair together. Next thing I realized, we were on our way to Detroit.
This home in Southfield is where Monroe and several underage girls stayed, all lured by a man who seemed to care before being pimped out, stripped of every dime they made, and scared into staying.
It's not about sex. It was about capturing the mind, and he knew what to do. He was good at it.
So good at it that she stayed for years, from her early teens to adulthood. Monroe's story is a textbook example of how trafficking works.
There's always some sort of control with a victim, so that may be being physical control, mental control, or using threats, right?
Trooper William Smith is on the Mid-Michigan Human Trafficking Task Force. He says trafficking, whether for sex or labor, starts with targeting those who are vulnerable. Today, many traffickers begin their search online.
They start with simple things, social media.
Then, the grooming process begins, often filled with promises of a better life, compliments, and gifts.
If they have someone that they spend some time with and they say to them, "I love you," and they've never had anyone ever tell them that they love them, how do you think that makes them feel?
The actual trafficking of that victim always involves at least one of three things: force, fraud, or coercion. And Trooper Smith says it's happening right here in mid-Michigan.
Human trafficking does happen here, right here in our backyard.
Polaris, an organization dedicated to ending modern-day slavery, estimates there are hundreds of thousands of children and adults being trafficked here in the U.S. This map highlights where potential cases were in 2016. As you can see, Michigan was lit up with reports. The number of reports across the nation increases every year. In 2016, it jumped 35% to more than 8,000. Polaris attributes most of that to growing awareness, but Saginaw County Assistant Prosecutor Michael Konashevsky says another epidemic is fueling those numbers.
The opioid epidemic and crisis is a direct contributor, the main contributor to human trafficking, and why we are seeing those numbers soar.
Konashevsky is also on the Mid-Michigan Human Trafficking Task Force. As of this year, he's tracking trafficking cases in Saginaw County to get a better picture of modern-day slavery in our area.
The majority of victims are going to look like this.
In the meantime, the task force to aid them, including bringing in speakers like Deborah Monroe.
When I was 10 years old, my mother decided she was going to go to bingo one night, and she left and she never came back.
Monroe now shares her story with the world and even in the human trafficking documentary, Break the Chain.
At the age of 13, really didn't have anywhere to go. I was pretty much homeless.
From her rocky upbringing to working for a pimp to numbing herself with drugs, and then finally, at 38, finding the help she needed to mend her trauma, shame, and guilt. Monroe says she's now found her calling as a peer support specialist.
Being able to offer hope to them is worth it.
And Monroe says healing others heals her.
It has given my life purpose, and it really helped me in my own recovery.
Trooper Smith recommends parents be vigilant of what their children are doing online. We found several programs and apps to help parents keep an eye on their child's social media and smartphone activity, like this one, mSpy. We've posted them for you in the story on the TV5 homepage. With this I-Team report, I'm Meg McLeod.
Meg, thank you. A local prosecutor